Honey, wake up. New worst Mets series of the year just released. Welcome in another edition of the Believe in Mets podcast. That's Jack McKessie. I'm Chris Schubert here talking all things New York Mets. Jack, the Mets are bad. How are you, my friend?
I am bad. That was not fun to watch at all. Like, no part of that was enjoyable except for like the half inning that I thought the Mets were going to come back in the second game. And then Luke Weaver said, never mind.
2 shutouts, a 3-game sweep by the Sacramento, Las Vegas, Oakland A's. They've lost 5 in a row. They're 7-9 on the season. Nothing good happened in this series. Really nothing. I mean, Freddie Peralta, great. We'll get to you at some point, but but right now the Mets are inherently broken. When they hit, they can't pitch. When they pitch, they can't hit. Overall, the offense is a whole lot of nothing. I don't know what's going on with Francisco Lindor. Jack, I don't even know where to start. I think the offense is the place that we have to start because they got shut out twice. They're 17th in baseball in runs per game. The offense is going in the wrong direction. I don't know. I don't have words. There are no words to describe what we watched for 3 games. They just cannot be consistent with the bats.
After the series ended, after today's game ended, I was like, I don't even know how we're going to collect our thoughts together about what just happened because it just feels like there's not much to say. Like, it's just disappointment after disappointment with these games. And it's so strange to watch the Mets coming off of that road series where you think they're getting on the right track with how they played against the Giants. Offense takes a step back against the Diamondbacks. And then this performance against the A's was just like an even further step back outside of, the second game of the series. But I think for a lot of reasons, it's hard to be too impressed with the offense because they were carried by home runs that were all solo shots because no one was getting on base. Like they still went 0 with runners in scoring position in that game. It's just not fun to watch. It's not a good product right now. It's not enjoyable because the offense is just putrid.
And the other thing, too, is that, I think Carlos Mendoza, at least a little bit in this series, tried to push some buttons. Like, he moved Luis Robert up to the 2-hole. Like, Jared Young twice in this series hitting the 3 spot. Like, Bo Bichette moved all over the place. They got Jorge Polanco back for a couple of games in the series. So it wasn't like we're just trotting out the same 9 every single day and just hoping that at some point it breaks through. Like, it wasn't stubbornness that doomed the Mets this weekend. Like, they're trying, but at some point, the guys on the team have to hit to the back of their baseball card. And this isn't going to be a traditional series recap for us. Like, I don't want to go in order and talk about the games because they all just blur together. But you have a play in today's game, we're recording this on Sunday, that should be the spark. Like, at home, you've lost 4 in a row, you're about to go on a 6-game road trip, and you get the play. Carson Bench lays out, dives, saves 2 runs, keeps the game 1-0, and you're supposed to be like, that's supposed to jack you up as a team and as a baseball player. And they just go out there and it's a 1-2-3 inning with the bats. Like, that was in the middle of a stretch where Aaron Savali retired 13 Mets in a row. It's just like, that's supposed to be the momentum play that flips the script for this team, and that couldn't even do anything. Like, that couldn't get the bats going. And they had 4 hits today. Do you remember any of the 4 hits? Are any of them memorable, notable? No, they just...
Other than Lindor having 2, that was notable, I guess, but
they spray these hits over the course of a game, and they never really amount to anything... They don't amount to a grade A chance at all. And when they do get a grade A chance, Lindor gets, picked off on a ground ball back to first base in the first game of the series. It's just like they can't do the little things right as well. It's just, I don't know what this team needs right now. I don't know what you do. Is it Lindor, you're hitting 9, we're mixing up the lineup, we're going complete lineup blender? I don't know what it will take to get this out. Bo Bichette is not a 230 hitter. He's just not. Brett Baty... I just don't know what you can do with the roster that they have right now to fix this. They're 7-9 because they just can't hit.
Yeah. I mean, there's no real solution, especially as this lineup is waiting for Juan Soto to come back from his calf strain. We said it last episode, Luis Robert is the one consistent hitter on this team. He had the off day today, and you could just see, there wasn't really anything else from basically anyone for the rest of the series. I guess you could point to Polanco's home run, Alvarez hitting the home run, Bichette having the home run in the second game. But then, that doesn't carry over to the third game of the series, the finale, where the Mets get shut out and lose a 1-0 game. They waste the excellent play that you mentioned by Carson Bench and Freddie Peralta's best start of the season. So it's just I'm with you, Chris. Like, there's not really anything the Mets can do right now, and you see them trying. Like, you see Carlos Mendoza trying with changing up the lineup, but until players just play better, there's not really anything to be said or done. I'm wondering, Chris, what your thoughts are on how concerned are you about Francisco Lindor in general? Because the hitting has obviously been a weak point, but that's kind of his MO. Slow starts of the year, he's got the hamate bone. The mental miscues to me
He had
are
another one in
starting
this
to
series.
add up, and I am a little bit worried about what that means for the rest of this season, as well as the next several years that he's going to be in New York.
Yeah, we had another one in this series, right? A ground ball that, is Marcus Simeon's ball the whole way, and he's backing him up, and it doesn't allow the Mets to turn a double play, and it allows a run to score. And, that along with not knowing the number of outs there were in St. Louis, getting picked off at first base. I know there are some people trying to pick on him today for getting thrown out on that strike him out, throw him out. You're expecting either ball four or the ball to get put in play, right? Like, you aren't like taking off and getting a massive lead. And Keith mentioned this on the broadcast today. Like, you're not taking a stolen base lead. You're just in motion on the pitch. And so it's a little bit of a different play. And so I'm not getting on him for that. But yeah, they've been weird miscues. And like, I don't know. Do I want to put on the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory like I see on social media about the play at the plate against Pittsburgh where he might have gotten a concussion and we're just not diagnosing it or not talking about it? I don't know what's going on with Francisco Lindor, but this goes beyond just he had hamate bone surgery and he's off to a slow start with the bat, his normal slow start with the bat. Like, he's doing things that we don't normally see him do, and that makes me think something else is going on. Now, I'm not going to speculate on what that is. But something else is going on that is leading to this, just very weird beginning of the season for Francisco Lindor. Now, positively, he had a multi-hit day today and was relatively good throughout the game. So he may be turning a corner in that regard. But, Jack, I don't want to go back and rehash the Diamondback series, but 3 of the last 4 games, you waste a great start from Nolan McLean, you waste a great start from Clay Holmes, and you waste Freddie Peralta's best start today. Like, they're just wasting great starts. And they're not going to be able to. They missed out on the playoffs last year by 1 game. So we know how razor thin the margin can be. And I'm already looking back at they lost a 1-0 game today. They lost a 4-3 game in the first series of the year to Pittsburgh. They lost 2-1 in extras in a game in which Carson Bench couldn't get to that ball. Like, you're already getting those losses that are piling up on the list of if they miss by a game or two, you're going to look at these ones early on in the season and say they just got off to a very slow start. And, like, they scored 6 runs in the series. It was all in 1 game. Like 2 runs a game's not going to do it. Like, I hate to boil it down to something so simple. Like, they just got to hit. They just have to hit. And let me get on Carlos. Let me get my one Carlos Mendoza shot in here in the podcast. We got Mark Vientos batting in a key spot today. Like, that's not Luis Robert. That's not Francisco Alvarez. Like, the 2 best hitters the team has, like the 2 most consistent hitters the team has to start the season. We're going to Mark Vientos, who went 0 for on the homestand. Like, that's the guy you want in that spot, only because it's the Jared Young plays first base, and so you don't want to burn a second player. Like, I get it, but that's the game right there. Like, Luis Robert has worked good at bats all season long. Like, Francisco Alvarez has been good all season long. Like, those are the guys that need to have a chance to put a base hit in play to tie the game up. But again, you don't score in any of the other chances that you have in this game or in the first game of the series, and here we are. I mean, what a terrible time to go out west and play LA. Like, they don't stand a chance if they're going to play this way. They're going to get blown out in every game.
I mean, this is just what worries me is like they're getting mostly the good pitching. I mean, Kodai Senga just had a complete meltdown.
We should probably talk about that at some point too. Yeah.
But outside of that, you mentioned Holmes, you mentioned McLean, you mentioned Freddie Peralta today. The hitting's just not there, and I am trying to balance it's a long season with understanding who the Mets' identity is at this point. Like, it's still very early. There's still a lot of time to evolve. And I think back to 2024, they started, 11 games under 500, 22-33, end up playing Game 6 of the NLCS. But, like, you don't want to be in a position where you need to be the best team in baseball down the stretch to make the playoffs. Lest we forget, they barely made the playoffs that season because they had to win the first in a doubleheader game against the Braves on the last day of the season. Last year, they missed the playoffs by 1 game. So like you're saying, when you're dropping these games against teams that on paper are not as talented, basically across the board, those start to add up. And so when you go on road trips to Los Angeles to play the 2-time defending world champions that are clicking on all cylinders, you're facing Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the second game and Shohei Ohtani on the mound in the third game. Ohtani, by the way, back-to-back games with a leadoff home run. Like, the offense has to start coming alive, or you're going to find yourself behind the 8 ball really early and in a position where you suddenly need to rip off 8, 9, 10 game win streaks to get back towards a over 500 win percentage as well as a playoff spot. And again, it's very early in the season, but the concerns about what this team's identity is with the struggling offense is starting to become a bit of a pattern over, 3 out of the last 4 series that they've had.
Well, I think, and I think this is the problem, but the answer to your question of what is the Mets' identity is they don't have one right now. Like they don't right now, 16 games into the season, have an identity, or at least a good one, that you can point to as to what's going to get them out of this, right? Like, they don't have, and I'm sorry, they're not just Juan Soto gets hurt and now the team falls apart. Like, they've got talent all over the place. Like, Francisco
We saw it in the Giants series. They won the 3 games after Soto got hurt.
Right. So they just don't have an identity that's being strung together over the course of, a series of games, right? Yeah, they played great in those 3 games against San Francisco, but then they came back home and it was just like a complete mess on this homestand. And, I don't know what you can do. Like, I try to put myself in the seat of David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza, because Stearns is doing the Stearns thing. He's in rare form already. He's DFAing relievers and moving guys up and down and churning through that last roster spot. But, like, what can you do? Like, what? I don't think this is one of those situations where a manager needs to send a message to the team like, hey, I'm going to sit Francisco Lindor. Send a message to the team like their play is unacceptable, right? Like, they don't have. If after Francisco Lindor didn't know how many outs there were, if Mendy pulled Francisco Lindor from the game, I'm just using it as an example, that's okay. You made a mistake. Accountability. What's the accountability for we can't score runs? You going to sit everybody? There is no accountability for the offense being this bad across the board.
Yeah, and so they just have to be better.
They just have to play their way out of it. And I know that's not an answer that people want to hear, but that's right now, 16 games in, the only thing that they can do. At some point, if Ryan Clifford's tearing the cover off the ball, if AJ Ewing's tearing the cover off the ball, then maybe they'll have those tough conversations and they'll move guys around and Ronnie Mauricio will get sent down and somebody else will be brought up. Like, those things may happen in the future, but 16 games into the season, like, it's just as simple as the team has to play better. They just have to play their way through it. There's not a lineup card that's going to change things. There's not a roster decision that's going to change things right now. They've got to put it all together. When they get the good pitching, the bats have to support them. When the pitching isn't there, the bats have to pick it up. Like, they just need to play competent, competitive, cohesive baseball over the course of 4, 5, 6 games. Like, they just haven't done that for a decent enough stretch to make you think that this team is any different than last year. Like, I don't blame anybody for watching this team right now. Now, let me make something very clear. We're 16 games in. Like, we've got a long way to go. I'm not giving up on this team. Season's not over. Season's not done.
Not even 10% in.
I'm not firing anybody. I'm not, we're not in sell mode already, but this is 16 games in. This is a problem, and they have to show. This is where they can show that identity of, when we are knocked down, we can dust ourselves off and get back up. Right now, they keep getting knocked down, and when they get back up, they just get punched right back down again. Like, there's no answer yet from this team. And now on top of it, I'm worried about Kodai Senga after what we saw, and I have now major concerns about Luke Weaver in these last 2 outings.
Yeah, and that's not to mention Clay Holmes having the hamstring issue where it's unclear if he's going to make the start against the Dodgers. So
they say it looks like he's on track to make his start. Like, I don't know what that means, but okay.
Right. But I guess to your point, Chris, like, when you have issues with Kodai Senga and you have issues with Luke Weaver, I feel like those are, I want to get more in depth on those in a second, but those have tended to be the less obvious problems with the 2026 Mets so far. It's a lot more on the hitting and the lack of offense. And to your point, David Stearns being David Stearns, his move last year to try to shift things around and shake things up was to have those rotating spots in the bullpen and call up different guys, DFA guys, whatever, to try to make the best bullpen that you can. as easy as it is to scapegoat Luis Garcia and Richard Lovelady, now that they're, both been DFA'd, like
they're not the reason the Mets are 7-9.
They're not the reason that
Right.
the Mets have a losing record right now. Like,
Right.
it is point blank period, the lack of offense. You lose a 1-0 game to the Athletics and a 4-0 game that basically was a 1-0 game for most of the game, and you don't score at all. It's a problem. And then now we can get into the Senga and Weaver stuff. That only exacerbates the issue when you have pitchers like David Peterson, who we were kind of dogging last episode, and now Kodai Senga, who was a question mark. You think he's returning to ace level status, and then completely melts down in his third start of the season. And I don't know what to make of him now going forward.
I don't know if that is just a rough start in a season where he's getting things back on track, or if he's back to being 2025 Kodai Senga and we're in for a rough go of it the rest of the way. Like, the two starts that he had before this were so different than the start that we saw over the weekend. And I don't know, is his true talent level close to the guy we saw in the first two starts, or is it the guy that we saw last year and the guy we saw over the weekend? I don't actually know which version of Kodai Senga there is. And so the unfortunate thing is you just got to keep rolling him out there and develop a sample size. Now, I think he pitched well enough in the first two starts of the year that I'm not like concern level 10, but I'm not concern level 1 or 2. Like, for example, I don't want to wish this because he pitches on Tuesday. If McLean got shelled by the Dodgers, you'd be like, all right, like, it's the Dodgers. He's been great everywhere else. We're going to give him the mulligan, right? We're going to give him a pass. Kodai Senga doesn't get that pass, so the concern level can't be a 1 or a 2. But with how good he was in the first two starts of the year, I don't think it's a 9 or a 10, because the guy that we saw in the first two starts of this season, we didn't see at all last year. Like, not one bit in 2025. And so that makes me I'm kind of like
injury.
I'm at like a 6 or a 7 right now in my concern level with Kodai Senga. 6-7. I didn't mean to do it, but sure, we can have that.
I think I'm a little bit less. I think I'm like a 5 or a 6.
Okay.
It's just like the lack of strikes and command, and that was so clearly an issue in this most recent start. And I think it just exacerbates and kind of snowballs downhill when he's starting off hitters behind the count. I think he only threw like 4 or 5 first pitch strikes to the
I can tell you
17 to 20 batters he faced.
I mean, he only threw 2
and
and
like,
a third innings pitched, so it wasn't that long in there.
Yeah, and
he faced 17 batters. You want to take a nice guess of how many first pitch strikes he threw?
I think 5.
5.
Yeah.
Craig Kimbrell went 4 for 4 in the batters he faced.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, welcome to the team, Craig Kimbrell. Great outing. Loved what I saw.
I'll take it. I don't know if he's a high leverage guy yet, but it's just when Kodai Senga is this version of himself, which we did see for most of his 2025 season after the injury, and he's getting behind in the counts early. He's not able to locate his stuff, and then he tries to get a forkball in the zone or breaking stuff. Like, guys just tee off on it because they're ahead in the count, and they're able to sit back and attack, or just take their walks and let the line keep moving. And for how good he was in those first two starts, the sample size is bigger towards the good starts than it is to the bad start. That I don't know if it's a small mechanical thing he can tweak. I don't know if it's just he didn't feel it that day. I don't have him on the Nolan McLean, like you said, mulligan program where I'm letting him be off scot-free for, one day, didn't feel it, whatever. But I'm not fully in panic button is even out on the desk right now. I'm not at that level yet with Kodai Senga. I'm ready to see him pitch more like an ace against the Cubs. I think is going to be his next start than, 2025 end of 2025 version of Kodai Senga and this last start version.
The Mets offensive statistics, I just pulled up the team rankings page. 25th in runners left in scoring position per game at 4.13. Like, they're just not getting it done right now.
But here's the problem that I was noticing as far back as the last series against the Diamondbacks. They're not getting that many runners in scoring position opportunities at all in these last 6 games because they're not taking good at bats. They're not getting on base. And then when they do get on base, it feels like there's kind of a desperation to get someone in a position early in the inning, a.k.a. Francisco Lindor earlier today, trying to take second base. And things just kind of quickly fall apart because it feels like they're maybe pressing, but also the at-bats stink. It's like soft ground balls in the first game of the Athletic Series and then these weak flyouts in the final game of the series. There's just not line drives. There's not hitting for contact. It's like these bad, low launch angle, poor exit velocity at-bat results. They're not getting the strikeouts as much, but they're also not getting any results from balls they put in play.
Yeah, I mean, today is a perfect example. They left 4 men on base, but they only had 3 chances with runners in scoring position. They're just, not only are they not coming through with their chances, they're just not getting enough chances. Like it is a double-edged problem right now for this team. And listen, we can talk about Luke Weaver. Part of me just thinks this is a bad stretch and just everything is going wrong for this team at the same time. Because I don't know how a guy can be as dominant as he was to start the year and then have back-to-back rough outings, and now all of a sudden he's the worst pitcher in the world. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think he's just had 2 bad outings. But everything's going wrong for this team. And then if you'll allow me the platform, I need to go on a little bit of a mini rant right now.
Okay.
I don't want to hear anybody talk about run prevention right now. Like, the Mets need to put out a lineup that's about run creation. Like, figure out the run prevention stuff later. Like, you got to score runs.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you can win games 1-0. I got it. I just watched them lose a 1-0 game today, so I know it's possible. But, like, I don't want to hear of, like, why is Brett Beatty out there in right field? Like, I don't know. He's probably one of the best 9 options the Mets have right now. So he's got to be in there. Like, he just has to be.
Right. And he's
like,
one of the few lefty bats in the lineup.
Like, I know this is going to be like one of the weirdest sentences to say 16 games into the season. Jared Young's probably one of the best 9 hitters the Mets have right now, so he has to be in there somewhere. You got to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, are we going to have plays like the Brett Beatty play, which, by the way, it had a 70% catch probability, which I don't know. That feels a little rough on Brett, but I did find the statistic afterwards. Like, we're going to have to live with maybe some defensive miscues because this Mets team doesn't score runs right now.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think it's a 70% catch probability for the average fielder. I think you put a third baseman in right field and maybe it drops to 30 to 40% catch probability. But it's just like you said, like even in the best game of this series, the 11-6 game that was at one point 7-6 or 6-7, whatever you prefer, and the runs that they scored. I mentioned this earlier, they're carried by the home runs. They're carried by the long ball, but they're not putting up a bunch of runs on the long ball because there's no one on base when those guys are hitting those home runs. It was a 2-run homer and then 2 solos, and that gets you to 4 runs, and then there are a couple other runs here and there. Like, they still went, let me look at this metric right now, 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position in that game. They score 6 runs, so, if you just look at the box score, you go, okay, well, at least the offense is breaking out. Not really. Like, when you break it all down, not really. They're still not getting consistent chances for guys to come up in a situation where they can come through and score runs. And then when those situations do happen, they're not coming through. So it's just like a maddening cycle watching this offense hit right now, where there's just nothing. You get one guy hitting a single, like in today's game, 4 different times, and you go, oh, maybe this is the start of something, and then absolutely nothing for the rest of the inning.
Yeah, the best chance they had was there in the 6th inning where they have 1st and 3rd and 2 outs and Mark Vientos up. Like, that was the best chance they had in this game.
And that was because, who was it? Polanco beat out the double play ball.
The fielder's choice, yeah. He beat out the ground ball to McNeil. Like, that was it. And Luis Torrens started off that inning on with the first Met hit after like 13 in a row, got set down by Savali. Like, they were just fighting it all day today. Sean Manaea pitched well again.
He did pitch well again. That was one of the small bright spots of this series, I think.
You texted me that the We're Back department may be resetting up operations. It's a smaller office than previously. After we went bankrupt and we had to sell off all the assets, we're starting anew. It's a small little cubicle that we're renting out in a larger office space, but we're set up, the phone line's plugged in, and it's taking calls about Sean Manaea, because not only were the results great, 9 up and 9 down. 50% whiffs on the sweepers. That pitch was good as a strike, but also getting strikes out of the zone, getting some swing and miss. And while the fastball velocity was still low, it was still averaging out at 89.3, it felt like he was able to put it where he wanted more than we saw in the last 2 starts. And so, I don't know, Clay Holmes might not be able to make his next start. Kodai Senga didn't pitch well. We've got a David Peterson problem maybe. So Could Sean Manaea find himself in this rotation sooner rather than later? I don't know. I kind of like him in this role right now to save the bullpen, and did a great job. It's a 1-0 game. He gave the Mets chance after chance after chance, one swing to get back into the game. But yeah, this was the best he looked so far this season.
Easily. And it's you already said it all with the results being there in the 9-up, 9-down, and also just kind of some of the under the hood stuff. Like he got Nick Kurtz swinging late on an 88-mile-an-hour fastball inside. I don't know how his pitches look. I don't know if it's a tweak that he made in between his last few relief appearances, but to have him, Tobias Myers, and then to a certain extent, Huáscar Brazoban in the second game of the series, saving the bullpen after just a dreadful second game before this Dodgers series comes up, is really big. And if you can have Manaea be a consistent contributor to the bullpen and be able to go out there and give you 2 to 3 innings and limit the damage, and in this case, give up no runners, like that's a really valuable asset to have. I don't know that he can translate it into a start. Like he only had to make it through the lineup one time, but if it works out where his arm slot is in the right spot and he's enough of a different look for opposing batters where they're seeing Freddie Peralta from the right side and then Manaea from the left is throwing them off, like I think he could complement other starters as a piggyback guy, kind of like he did in this start, or in this appearance rather. I don't know that he has the acumen to go back to being a starter at this point with the slowness of the fastball.
Here is the statistic that I think says it all. His last appearance out against the Diamondbacks, he threw 70 pitches. He had a 19% called strike and whiff rate. So getting them to stare at pitches or getting them to swing and miss, right? So 13 of his 70 pitches, 19%. He threw 41 pitches today against the A's, 41%. 17 of them were either called strikes or whiffs. That's the difference. He had a better feel and touch for them, and he was generating those whiffs. And because he was able to throw stuff out of the zone and get them to chase, and because he was able to throw it in there for strikes, they worked off of each other and allowed him to be successful. Again, it feels very like we're duct taping holes on the boat right now with Sean Manaea, but this definitely was the best start, or the best appearance, I should say, that he's had this season. The Mets are going to go get boat raced by the Dodgers for 3 days.
I am hoping, and real quick, I need to shout you out and give you credit here, because last time you made a declarative statement, like you did last episode with Jeff McNeil and his 500 batting average against the Mets, you were pretty much spot on. He went 6 for 13 in this series against the Mets. I tried to tell you that I don't know if he's that guy.
Oh, he was that guy. Just sprayed him all over the place.
You have now made a declarative statement that the Mets are going to get boat raced by the Dodgers. And I really want to counter you and say I think I am reminded of Adonis Medina's unbelievable save from however long ago.
I think it was 24.
Was that 2022?
No, hold on. I'll look it up.
Anyway, we all remember the bases loaded Adonis Medina outing, that
22
the miracle win in extra innings.
It was 22. Let me find this game log. Let's
but
take a trip down
I am
memory lane
crossing
here.
my fingers and hoping with all of my heart that the Mets are able to find something against the Dodgers. They have generally, as good as the Dodgers have been the last few years, played them pretty well. I think they're about 500 over the last 3 or 4 seasons against LA. If they can come away with one win in Chavez Ravine, like I am going to be over the moon.
I now, looking at the box score of this game, I remember this game. Do you know who started for the Mets this game? This is potentially the best start this guy ever had as a Met. I'll check, but I think this was his best start.
I was going to say like Adrian Hauser, but he came too late. He was after 2022.
Let me look
Who
at
would
this
have started in 22?
Let me look at this guy's game logs in 2022. Yeah, this is just
I have no idea.
Okay, you ready to go down memory lane? Trevor Williams threw 5 innings and allowed just 2 earned runs over the 5 innings. And if I remember correctly, I believe he came off the injured list to make that start, or something like that. Maybe not.
Hang on now, though. I think you're forgetting Trevor Williams was actually pretty good in that 2022 season.
No, he was, but like this was like going into that game, I can remember thinking, man, Trevor Williams is going to go up against Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Trey Turner and Will Smith and Justin Turner and Cody Bellinger. Like they're doomed. Like they don't stand a chance. And he went out there and he held them to 2 runs over 5 innings. And then Seth Lugo blew the save. Shout out to our friend Seth Lugo, who's doing well in Kansas City. And then Adonis Medina came in for the save in the
That was unreal. That was unreal.
Crazy.
Speaking of former Mets relievers and the Dodgers,
simpler times. The Mets were 37-19 then. Simpler times.
Sounds like Edwin Diaz might not be available for this series because the Dodgers are trying to figure out what is going on with his downtick in velocity this season so far. He blew a save the other day, and I don't know that he's going to be pitching against the Mets. It's unclear right now, it feels like.
Well, two things. One, they're probably not going to need him because they're going to be up like 12 runs in every game they play in this series.
All right.
I'm sorry, Jack. What do you want me to do? Like, this team is playing the...
If you're telling me the Dodgers aren't itching to use Edwin Diaz against the Mets...
Of course they are.
I don't know what to tell you. They will use him in the last game of the series, even if it's 10-0, if he's available.
Just to hear the trumpets. Just to hear the trumpets.
Yeah.
His fastball is down about 2 miles an hour. It's sitting at like 95.8 for the season. And as you mentioned, he did blow that save. Yeah, so they're just like, Alex Vesia, Tanner Scott, you guys just close games. And they're just not missing a beat. They're 11-2 to start the year. They're on pace for 127 wins right now.
Yeah. Ohtani's on a 46-game on-base streak dating back to last season.
28 and a third without allowing an earned run.
Correct.
And
his ERA is still 0 so far. And the Mets will see him in the series finale in L.A. in
David Peterson versus Justin Robleski in the opener on Monday. And then
Ace-off.
I potentially top 5 of the year ace-off. Like, are there going to be 5 Mets ace-offs better than this one? I don't think so.
They already faced Skeens, so I don't know. I don't think so.
McLean, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is just chef's kiss. Like, you just clear the schedule for that one. And then the finale, it is tentatively listed as Clay Holmes against Shohei Ohtani, and then a much-needed off day for us all. Because I don't know. This is the series where the Mets surprise us and they go in there and they sweep and they're like, we're back. Everything's okay. Like, that's usually what the Mets would do here. But 5 in a row, just got swept by the A's for the first time the A's have ever swept the Mets. First time ever that's ever happened.
Doesn't feel very good.
And they just can't get out of the runway. And they can't hit.
And the Mets were a Ronnie Mauricio clutch hit against Paul Sewald away from losing 6 in a row.
Right.
So.
That's a great point. You know what? I hadn't thought of it in that context until you just said it, that if not for that.
If not for Jared Young's clutch sac fly late in that first game against the Diamondbacks and Ronnie Mauricio's pinch hit walk-off single, this is a 6-game losing streak.
That's where the 2026 New York Mets are at right now. We need Jared Young and Ronnie Mauricio to stop a 6-game losing streak.
Yes. 3-spot hitter Jared Young.
Yeah, he did it twice in this series. What? Okay, let's end on this, even though we're like way past time. What should the lineup be? Like, what would you make any major changes to this group right now?
I liked having Robert in the 2 spot.
Well, I very much like that. I don't think and I don't think this is them protecting Francisco, but I don't think they're going to move him out of the leadoff spot unless it's like August and the team still can't hit. Like that's how long he's going to get an opportunity up there. Right. Being facetious, I think they would move him a little bit sooner than that, but he's going to stay there for right now. I think you move everything else around him. So I think Lindor,
obviously this is a Soto-less lineup.
Well,
so
they don't have
Soto
him right
would be the number 2 hitter otherwise.
So Lindor, Robert, Polanco, Bichette, really feels good to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that's what it was in the second game of the series.
And then Alvarez 5.
Jared Young 5? I think Jared Young 5, Alvarez 6.
You just really want a lefty to break up that.
Yeah, that's 4 righties in a row to start.
Well, no, Polanco's a switch hitter.
Okay, and Lindor's a switch hitter.
And Lindor's a switch hitter, so you at least can protect yourself in that way. So, all right, Jared Young, Francisco Alvarez.
Beatty 7, Simeon 8, Benj 9. I think that's just what it has to be. I don't love it.
I'm all for however far down the lineup we can move Marcus Semien right now.
Or Ronnie Mauricio 7 for Beatty, depending on.
Or we give Marcus Semien a day off and we play Mauricio at second base.
I don't hate that either.
Like Semien hasn't missed.
But then you have a bottom 3 that is essentially lefty, lefty, lefty. Mauricio's technically a switch hitter, but much better from the left side. So
I can't remember a hit he's had from the right side. I mean, he probably
Correct.
has, but I just can't remember one off the top of my head. I can remember the walk-off hit lefty, and then I can remember him. This series just sticks out to me. Him smoking balls at Coors Field last year.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
laser beams.
But mostly from the left side.
But all from the left side, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can remember.
Yeah.
It's rough right now. Let's just call it what it is. It's rough. So much so that we ripped up the normal way that we do a post-series recap, and we just vented for 35 minutes. That's where we're at with this team right now. Again, a lot of time to play. I think they're going to have good enough pitching because even if Holmes needs to miss a start, even if Kodai Senga needs, he's broken again, if Peterson struggles, like Christian Scott's looked good down in AAA, Jonathan looked good in his last AAA start. Like the Mets have options. Manayo's
Tobias
looked good.
Myers and
Tobias Myers. Although the thing with Myers, and this is another thing that was a takeaway from this series, he kind of hit a wall in that third inning when his pitch count got up to a certain level. So I wonder if he can be an opener and then old friend Huascar Brazoban piggybacks off of him. Like, I don't know.
That's kind of what I was thinking is like you use him and Sean Manaea as like your two pseudo starters, your long relievers that also are starters. Or you can have Brazoban split them up, whatever. Yeah, I think he's like a 2 to 3 inning guy at best, Myers at this point.
By the way, shout out to our guy, Huascar Brazoban. He did it again in this series.
I'm scared he's going to get Reed Garrettitis and just have his arm snap at some point because
is he the guy that's been used the most so far?
I think almost certainly yes.
No, so it's kind of cheating a little bit. Tobias Myers has thrown the most innings. Then it's Sean Manaea. Then it's Huascar Brazoban.
But if you do it by appearances, then it's definitely Brazoban.
If I do it by appearances, how many games they pitched in? Hold on, because that's for whatever reason Fangraphs doesn't give me that information. If I go to Baseball Reference, actually, I could just go to ESPN and do this because I think you're right. I think once I look this up,
because Myers and Manaea have had several 3-inning outings.
Right, but they've only been in like 3 or 4 games.
Right.
So let's do this. Let's go to pitching games. There's our guy, Huascar Brazoban.
Yep.
Him and Luke Weaver.
How many games out of the 16 so far has Huascar Brazoban pitched in? Yeah. We gotta
Justin Willard, tone it down, buddy. Tone it down.
We gotta chill out a little bit.
Kai Correa, can you tell Carlos Mendoza, hey, maybe we just don't use Huascar today? Hey.
Especially 2 2/3 in the second game of the series. I mean, he threw 38 pitches. Let's pump the brakes a little bit here, guys.
Now, in fairness, he hadn't pitched in 3 days prior, so they gave him a nice little chunk of time off. So credit to them for doing that. But please don't. Huascar Brazoban, I just love watching him pitch. I love when he comes into a game. So don't take that from me because it's really the only joy I have right now with this baseball team. So please don't remove this from me.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us here. Another edition of the Believe in Mets podcast. Hopefully the next time you hear from us, we have some brighter spirits, or we'll maybe be just as delirious as we are in this episode as we'll recap the Dodgers series. Wherever you're listening to us in the podcast platform, hit that subscribe button, follow, whatever it is. Do us a favor, share the show with a friend as well, or a family member that enjoys the Mets. Watch the YouTube version, Jack McKessie, McKessy, over on YouTube. The march to 250 subscribers before the All-Star break continues. You can be a part of it. You can make it happen. You can help us get there before the All-Star game. The Mets have lost 5 in a row, shut out 2 of 3 times against the A's. They got swept. Panic City is right around the corner. I can see us barreling down towards Panic City. The bus is leaving the station. Next stop, Panic City. We'll see how they fare out there in LA. As always, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.